Good to see you all. Are you happy to be here?
Yes.
Ah, good. Are you sure you want to be here? Yes. Yes. Good. Well, I want to be here. So, Sunday is it's a good day, isn't it? Sunday. I like Sundays. Maybe some people like Fridays better or Saturdays, but I like Sundays. So, Ingmarie asked me if I would like to give the service 2 weeks ago, and I have a lot of lessons I made in Sunday school. So I have a lot of resources. So I decided to choose something that I to do with spiritual reality that I did with the younger teenagers. So we all here believe in spirit world, don't we? Anybody not believe in spirit world? Okay, good. That's pretty unanimous. And have any of you experienced the spirit world? Oh, quite a few hands. But you didn't stay there long. No. So if you did, then obviously you wouldn't be here now. So I want to share the experience of one person who went to spirit world and came back. There are, I imagine that there must be thousands of people who have had near-death experiences, thousands. And now there are hundreds of books. I don't know. How many of you like reading books about near-death experiences? A few hands. Yeah. I do. I find them fascinating. And so this person, there he is. How do we know there is an invisible spirit world? How do you know? How do you know there's a spirit world? You all said you believe in it, but how do you know? Some of you have actually experienced it, but most of you have not. So how do you know it's there?
It's logical.
It's logical. Okay. It's logical. Yeah, of course, we have the divine principle, which gives a very logical explanation. And actually, all through history, there have been stories, not just near-death experiences, but people who see angels, ghosts, and then there are, of course, mediums, many mediums who are sensitive spiritually, and so they see things or hear things. Actually, the reason I'm very interested is two reasons. One is I'd like to know more about it because we're all going there one day. And we can't avoid it. So it's good to know what's there and what's waiting for us or where we will end up. But the other question is, well, what can we learn from people's experiences who have had near-death? And for each person who has this near-death experience, it's their experience, and maybe what they learn is what is for them. And maybe what they learn maybe is less relevant to us. But hopefully there is something from their experience we can learn from. So this person wrote a book. She's called Anita Moorjani. Have anybody heard of Anita Moorjani?
Yeah.
She's an Indian lady, Indian origin, and she wrote a book. This book is called Dying to Be Me. My Journey from Cancer to Near-Death to True Healing. And so I read this book last summer, and if ever you want convincing proof there is another world, her story is convincing proof. And this is her, Anita Moorjani. So she was born in India, but she went to school in Hong Kong, and she went to an English school in Hong Kong. So she was a bit confused about her identity because her parents were Hindus, and she lived in a community of people who practice Buddhism, and but she went to an English school, and but she never went to Sunday school in the English school. Well, they had Sunday school, and one day this boy asked her, "So why didn't you go to Sunday school?" And she said, "Well, no, I don't, because I'm not a Christian." Oh, and he said, "Does that mean you're going to hell?" And actually that worried her. She thought maybe she's going to hell. And actually through her life, growing up, she was very confused about her identity because there were all these, English school, Christian school, and from a Hindu family, but living in a Buddhist society. And and also she should have had an arranged marriage, but she didn't do that. So she kind of went a bit of a rebel, went a different way. So I would like to tell her story, and this is her when she was younger, and the person she married. She looks very happy. But this is her when she had cancer. You can see this is years later, and she's very skinny. And this cancer lasted, well, let me read this. I'll go back a little bit. I think this was for 4 years, but I think I'll go straight on to her testimony, actually. Because I'm going to read her words, because she's given many speeches, appeared on TV, as well as written this book. So, this is her today, sharing her story with some interviewer. And this is what she says. I shouldn't be alive today. I should have died on February the 2nd, 2006. That was supposed to be my last day in this physical life. On that day, the doctors told my family I only had a few hours to live. I was dying from end-stage lymphoma, a form of cancer of the lymph nodes. I had struggled with cancer for 4 years up to that point. For 4 years, this disease had devoured my body. It had travelled through my lymphatic system. It started with a lump in my neck, and then it spread throughout my lymphatic system, and after 4 years I had tumours, some the size of lemons, that had spread from the base of my skull all around my neck, down into my chest, under my arms, and all the way to my abdomen. By that point, my lungs had filled with fluid, and every time I would lie down, I would choke on my own fluid. My muscles had completely deteriorated, so I weighed about 39 kilos. I looked like a skeleton with skin on. I had these big open lesions, cuts, where the toxins were oozing out of my body. I wasn't able to digest any food. I had a persistent fever. I couldn't walk because my muscles had deteriorated. I was constantly lying down or being taken around in a wheelchair. I was connected to an oxygen mask all the time. I couldn't breathe without it. On February the 2nd, 2006, I went into a coma. The doctor said these were my final hours because now my organs were failing. So my family was told that if there was anybody that had to see me before I died, this was the time. Unknown to anyone around, though, everyone around, even though it appeared I was in a coma and my eyes were closed, I was aware of everything that was going on all around me. I was aware of my husband, who was distressed, but he was by my side, holding my hand. I was aware of everything the doctors were doing. They were putting tubes in me. They were removing fluid from my lungs so that I could breathe easier. I was aware of every single thing that was happening. It felt as though I had a 360 degrees peripheral vision. I could see everything happening all around my body, not just in the room where my body was, but even beyond. It was as if I had expanded out of my body. I was aware of my physical body. I could see it lying there in that hospital bed, but I was no longer attached to that body. It felt as though I could be everywhere at the same time. It was like wherever I put my awareness, there I was. I was aware of my brother, who was in India. I was in Hong Kong. He was rushing to get on a plane to come and see me before I took my last breath. I was aware of that. I felt as though I was with him. I saw him on the plane. And then also I became aware of my father and my best friend, both of whom had died. But I became aware of their presence with me as though they were guiding me and communicating with me. One thing I felt in this amazing, expansive self was that I was in a realm of clarity, where I understood everything. I understood why I had cancer. I understand I was much greater, in fact, all of us are much greater and more powerful than we realize when we are in our physical body. I felt as though I was connected to everybody. Like all the doctors that were treating me, the nurses, my husband, my mother, my brother, and everybody. I felt as though we all shared the same consciousness. I felt as though I could feel what they were feeling. I could feel the distress they were feeling. I could feel the resignation of the doctors. But at the same time, I didn't get emotionally sucked into the drama. Yet I understood what they were feeling. It's like we were all sharing the same consciousness. I felt as though my Father was trying to communicate with me that it wasn't my time, that I needed to go back into my body. At first, I didn't want to go back, because I still felt as though I had choice. I had the choice whether to come back or not. So at first, I absolutely didn't want to go back into my body, because I couldn't see a single good reason to go back in this sick and dying body. I was a burden on my family. I was suffering. There was no good reason, so I didn't want to go back. But in the next instant, it felt as if I completely understood that now that I knew what I knew, and because I understood what caused the cancer, I knew that if I chose to go back to my body would heal very, very quickly. So in that moment, I made the decision to go back. I heard as though my father and my best friend said to me, "Now that you know the truth of who you really are, go back and live your life fearlessly." And it was in those moments that I woke up from my coma. And my family was so relieved to see me. And the doctors couldn't explain it. They were surprised, but they were being very, very cautious because I was so weak that there was no way of knowing it if I would stay out of the coma, heal or go back. But I knew I was going to be fine. And I was telling my whole family, I'm going to be fine. I know I'm going to be fine. It's not my time. Within 5 days, the tumours in my body had shrunk by 70%. After 5 weeks, I was released from the hospital to go home. I was completely cancer-free. I have had to pick up my life from that point. As you can imagine, my life feels completely different. It changed my view of the world. The experience changed my view of my physical body, of illness, and how I perceive the world. I found it very difficult to integrate back into life again. So now she's going to give some comparisons to try to convey to us what it was like. So there are 2 examples. So she said the best way I can explain the experience is what it felt like would be to use the metaphor of a warehouse. Imagine that we are in a totally darkened, pitch-black warehouse, and you can't see anything. Imagine that you hold in your hand a little flashlight. You switch on your flashlight and you navigate through the dark. Use just the beam of that little flashlight to navigate in the dark. Everything that you see in the warehouse is only what you can see with the beam of that flashlight. Now imagine your beam is shining over there, and all that you see is what's over there. Everything else is in complete darkness. You shine the beam over there, and all you see is that spot over there. Everything else in darkness, except the light of the beam. Now imagine, one day, big floodlights go on and the whole warehouse is illuminated, and you realize this warehouse is huge. It's bigger than you ever imagined it to be. And it's lined with shelves and shelves and shelves of all kinds of different things. Every kind of thing you can imagine, and things you can't even imagine, all exist on these shelves, side by side. Some of these things are beautiful. Some are not so beautiful. Some are large, some are small. Some things in colours you've never seen before. Colours you've never imagined to exist. And some things are strange and funny looking. all exist side by side. And you've seen some of them before with your flashlight. Many of them you've never seen before because the flashlight had never shone on it. So that's what she's saying is like, we may have certain pictures of spirit world. Yeah, maybe we just see a little part of it or understand a little part. But she saw everything. So it's like a warehouse, light is on. But if you're in that warehouse just with a torchlight, a flashlight, you can't see much. Only what the light is shining on. And now imagine if the lights go back off again and you're back to one flashlight. Even though all you can see is what you can see with the beam of one flashlight, at least you now know there is much more that exists. Simultaneously and alongside the things that you can see, you now know that just because you cannot see them, you cannot experience them, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You now know that because you had the experience. So her experience, because she was there, she knows it's there. There's no doubt in her mind. That's what it feels like. It feels so much more exists than what we believe. So much more exists than we have experienced. It's just beyond our flashlight. And to just help you understand this a little better, I'd like to try a little game. So this is a little experiment. So look around the room and find everything you can see that has shades of red. Any shade of red, look around. Yeah? And commit it to memory. You got that? Can you remember now? So now I'm going to ask you to recall. So close your eyes. Close your eyes. Now, how many things can you recall that are blue in colour? Almost none. Think about it. Open your eyes and look around. See how many things that are blue that were there, that exist alongside the red. But you didn't even notice it. Why? Because you weren't aware of it. The beam of that flashlight, what was it? That is your awareness. When you flash your awareness on something, it becomes your reality. It becomes what you experience. There can be something else right under your nose, but if your flashlight is not shining on it, you won't even notice it. You won't even be aware of it. So this is our experience. But from this experience, in this book, she writes about 5 things. 5 things that she learnt, which I'd like to share. The 5 biggest lessons. First, love yourself. Is that a good beginning?
Yes.
Did you know you should love yourself?
Yeah.
Do you love yourself? How much do you love yourself? A lot? A little bit? So, sorry. And also, she said, live life fearlessly. Don't be afraid. Don't have fears. Do you have fears? Yes. But we shouldn't live with fears. We should be fearless. And fourth, laugh and find joy in life. Do you laugh every day?
Yes.
Oh, good. Very healthy. You find joy in everyday life?
Yes.
Good. So, humour. My father said, if you're a teacher, because he was a teacher, it's very good to important to have a sense of humour. Otherwise, it will be a pretty miserable job. Life is a gift. Did you think life is a gift?
Yes.
Yes, good. We're all united in this. Maybe you already know this, but anyway. So, and finally, always be yourself.
Yeah.
Can you always be yourself in whatever situation? Just be yourself. So I'd like to go into these a little bit more detail. So, love yourself. Here are some things she said. Unconditional love is your birthright, not judgment or condemnation. And there's nothing we need to do to earn it. This is simply who and what we are, because God loves us. We don't have to do anything to receive God's love. So even the worst sinner, God still loves the worst sinner.
Det är verkligen hon som har sagt det, inte fader Moon.
Yeah, she said this. She said this. Then she said, transform your world by transforming your internal state. Start by learning to let go of negative self-judgment and replace it with positive and loving thoughts about yourself. Do you ever have negative self-judgment in your head? Oh, I see a few nodding heads here. Get rid of it! Yes. And then finally she says, be kind to yourself and watch your external world change. Because if you are loving towards yourself, the world around you will change. And she says this also, she says, the most important awareness we have to focus on is love. One of the things I learned is that I got cancer because I didn't love myself. When we love ourselves, we value ourselves. When we value ourselves, we teach people how to treat us. When you love yourself, you find no need to control or bully other people, nor do you allow other people to control or bully you. Loving yourself is as important as loving others. The more you love yourself, the more love you have to give to other people. Live life fearlessly. She says, now you know the truth of who you really are. Go out and live your life fiercely, because we are God's children, aren't we? So we have a right to God's love.
Yes.
We are created in God's image.
Yes.
So we are wonderful human creations, are we not?
Yes.
Therefore, we should be who we are and be fearless. She said, I used to fear everything. I used to fear cancer, eating the wrong food, displeasing people. I feared failing. So that's why she got cancer, because she was full of fear, and she was not at peace inside herself. And this was her experience of why she got cancer, which might not apply to everybody. Laugh and find joy in life. Life could be so much simpler and less dogmatic if we let go. If we just allow ourselves to loosen up, have fun, and learn to laugh. Laugh every day, and if all else fails, eat chocolate. I think my wife does that. She loves chocolate, yes. And then she says here that this laughter and humour is more important than any other spiritual activity. If we had more laughter, we would have a very different world. You would have less people with illness, and you'd need less hospitals, and you'd need less prisons. So, laughter. Very good to laugh. Yes. I must say that when I laugh a lot when I'm teaching, because a lot of funny things happen. I remember when I was teaching over there Sunday school every week, I laughed a lot. We did a lot of things. I laughed every week, I must admit. I laughed every week. So that's what we should do. Next, life is a gift. Life is a gift. Even the hard challenges are gifts. She says this. Most of us, of course I can't say this applies to you, but she says most of us live life as a chore. You know, we have to do it. Yeah? But it shouldn't be that way. It's unfortunate that when we lose something that we value, that we lose the true value of something. And it took me losing my life to realize the value of my life. Your life is a gift. Even the challenges that come to you are a gift. When I had cancer, that was the biggest challenge I could ever have. But today, when I look back on it, I feel it was the biggest gift I could have. I thought the cancer was killing me, but actually I was killing myself before I got cancer. Cancer saved my life. All your challenges are gifts. And if you are in a challenge and it doesn't feel like a gift yet, it means you haven't got to the end yet. So it's like, if we had hard times, we don't see difficulties as gifts. But she's saying, actually, it's a gift. Because that challenge is helping you to grow and helping you to overcome and to develop. So to say that she said cancer was a gift, of course you could say it now. At the time she probably, it was a curse. But it's amazing her way of thinking, how it developed and changed. Always be yourself. Just be who you really are. Be as you can be. Because that is why you are here. That is why you have come here, to express your magnificence. Shine your light as brightly as you can. Don't deprive the world of who you came here to be. You all have a purpose. So be yourself, your true self. I believe that the greatest truths of the universe don't lie outside in the study of the stars and the planets. They lie deep within us in the magnificence of our heart, mind and soul. Until we understand what is within, we can't understand what is without. And she says, we are unique. Embrace your uniqueness. Do you want to be somebody else? Yeah, you're quite happy to be yourself, yeah? And we have to love ourselves unconditionally. God loves us unconditionally. But we have to love ourselves unconditionally. And here's a very nice quote I also found from her. There's no us and them, it's all us. We're all one. When each one of us can look into the eyes of even our worst enemies and see our own eyes looking back at us, then we will see true transformation of the human race. So this was also the experience. She felt connected. She was connected to everything. And we are. We're not separate individuals in this room. We're all connected. Yeah? And finally, I would just like to come back to these points, just to think about. But basically, I'm just about finished. So I chose this topic. Yeah, I chose this topic because two things, as I said. One is I'm fascinated. When Philip Hill came here, it's fascinating the things he can tell us. But also, it's what can we learn from people like that, or people like Philip Hill, people like Anita Moorjani. And it doesn't mean to say everything they experience is the lesson for us. But I think many of those lessons are for us and to cause us to reflect. So with that, I'd like to finish and offer a prayer. Okay? Thank you. Dear Heavenly Parent, thank you for this day you've given us. Every day is a gift. Every breath we breathe that gives us life, makes our lives precious. There are so many blessings that we have. We can all look at our difficulties. We can all dwell upon what is wrong. We can all think that we are less than we would like to be. But we have to realize that we are made in your image and that you love us unconditionally. And we need to be reminded constantly that we are your children. And we need to strive each day to live our lives according to our true selves and to invite you into our hearts, and that we can become beacons of light and hope for other people. Because if you can work through us and express your love through us, we can reach out to many people. Because a lot of people in this world are very ignorant of the spirit world, ignorant of you, and living meaningless lives. And we cannot see it. People on the outside look very secure and happy, but we cannot see what's on the inside. And it's what's inside our hearts that's the most precious. And it's people like Anita Moorjani, their experiences and others like them, that are teaching the whole world that there is another world, and that our life's purpose is much deeper than all the houses and all the property, all the money that we have in this physical world. I thank you that I've had the opportunity to share this. I want to offer this prayer, and I report this in my name, Tim Atkinson of a Blessed Central Family. Arju.